Hello world, my name is Miyah Sundermeyer and I would like to welcome you to the latest episode of my blog series, Hello World with Miyah Sundermeyer. Now these vlogs are about what it's like to live on the autism spectrum versus how I tackle everyday problems, to how I see the world, to giving advice to every neurotypical and every person on the spectrum that I can about how things should be done and how I see things. And most recently, I started talking about what it was like for me to have friends growing up and having other types of relationships. And as most of you saw, I had a hard time, and it was incredibly frustrating. Well, there's another twist to that story. When I moved down here in Atlanta in mid-2003, my aunt had told me that I had an entire slew of social skill problems, and I didn't know what she meant. At that time, I thought it was insulting, until one morning I was sitting down eating breakfast, and she was able to show me visually. What she did was she looked down like this, and she said, "This is you when you greet somebody. You go, who?" And then she started running really fast while looking down. And I looked at that and I said, "I do that? I didn't think I did that to your own friend, Lois." And she said, "Yes, you did." And she showed me visually that when her friend came to have an early supper with us, I looked at her. I looked at her for a second and said, "Nice to meet you. Let me go get my pizza." And you know, and not only did I have problems with looking down and when I greeted somebody, I also didn't seem to acknowledge their presence very well, or I just ignored them. My aunt also said that when I would walk into a store, I wouldn't look at anybody. I would look down and try to walk inside, and I would cut in line and not really think about anybody else but myself. And to add to the pile of problems, I also was diagnosed with ADHD, and so I'm very hyper. And when I was younger, I used to talk with this get overly excited and talk with this really high voice, and I would talk so fast that other people couldn't keep up with my conversations. In fact, this was only about 4 years ago. I was really upset about something, and when I talked, one guest at my party said that when I would speak, they said that I would talk so fast and so high that I sounded like Minnie Mouse. And I wasn't even aware I was driving other people nuts. Now, as I said before, I joined a couple support groups for people on the autism spectrum, and I took a couple of social classes that had the theme of a party. Only you had behaviorists telling people that they had to mingle, and that was where I met most of my friends. But by then, I had learned how to respect others. I had learned how to acknowledge others. I had learned how to greet others. You name it. And again, it all started just because I had my aunt show me visually what I was doing wrong. And so for you parents that are struggling to understand why your child or your niece or your nephew or your friend, whoever, is having difficulties making network connections or being understood, the best thing you can do is don't cut them down. Don't tell them you're retarded or you can't do anything right, you're a jerk. Don't use those words. They're hurtful. I think the best type of medicine that you can do is tell them, maybe you have problems with social. Well, maybe you have some social deficits, and so I'm going to show you. So instead of telling them directly, show them visually in the form of role playing, because it'll help them. So now, before I go, I most recently watched an episode of The Big Bang Theory last night, and I know a lot of fans are leaning on the fact that the character Sheldon Cooper lives on the autism spectrum, and so does his girlfriend Amy Farrah Fowler. But Sheldon shows more relevant signs than she does. And one good example was last night. There was an episode. It was a Valentine's Day episode, and Amy Farrah Fowler wanted a romantic relationship with Sheldon, so she made arrangements for them to have a romantic dinner in a train setting, since she knows her husband likes trains. But Sheldon Cooper ended up meeting another train fanatic, and he became so excited to talk to a new connection who he could relate to that he completely forgot all about his girlfriend and the fact that he was on a date. And so Bernadette, who is their friend and wife to Howard Wolowitz, told Sheldon, snap out of this, you are on a date, and had to snap him back to reality. So if you have any questions or comments on how to better handle your situations, and if you think this is wrong, please comment below. Until next time, I'm Miyah Sundermeyer, and I'm signing off now. Bye.